I wasn't planning to steal anything. Seriously. I'd walked into that overpriced organic grocery store like any other broke 24-year-old with $13 in my checking account and a stomach full of cold air. My plan was simple. Maybe buy a banana, pretend I wasn't starving, then get the hell out. But when I saw the rotisserie chicken sitting under the heat lamps like some golden, glistening godsend, something broke in me. I hadn't eaten a real meal in 2 days. So yeah, I did it. I slipped the hot plastic container into my tote bag while pretending to compare salad dressings. My heart was jackhammering in my ears. I felt like a damn criminal, sweating under the fluorescent lights and praying no one noticed. But someone did. As I made it past the automatic doors, a voice behind me cut through the air. Calm. Direct. Hey, stop. I froze mid-step. My blood turned cold. I didn't even turn around at first, just stood there with one foot still on the mat, my throat tightening. Bag, now! When I finally turned, I was met with a face I didn't expect. Not some angry middle-aged manager or mall cop wannabe, but a guy about my age. Mid-20s, tall, lean, with a grocery apron stretched across his black tee and arms that definitely lifted more than kale, and he was annoyingly hot. I saw you, he said, not even raising his voice. Rotisserie chicken. Left side, bottom shelf. I opened my mouth to lie, to say something stupid like, "What are you talking about?" But I couldn't even make the words come out. He just stared at me, not smug, not pissed, just watching me like he was trying to figure something out. And then, instead of yelling or calling security or making a scene, he said, "Follow me." I hesitated, and he gestured toward the back of the store. "You're not getting arrested. Just come on." I should have run. I knew it. But something in his voice made me follow. Shame burning hot in my cheeks, I trailed behind him past the stockroom, through a service door, and into this cramped little office that smelled like cardboard and old coffee. He shut the door and leaned against it, arms crossed. His name tag said Tyler. "So," he said after a second, "want to tell me why you're stealing roasted chicken at 9:40 on a Tuesday night?" I didn't say anything. What was there to say? That I had been laid off 3 months ago? That I was behind on rent? That I had $2 to my name and even that might be an overdraft? Tyler must have read it on my face. He sighed and rubbed the back of his neck. "Look, I'm not trying to be a dick. God, man, you looked so desperate." My eyes stung. I hated how that word made me feel. Desperate. Pathetic. "I haven't eaten," I said quietly. "Not anything real." He nodded slowly, his expression softening. "Okay." Then he did something I'll never forget. He walked over to the office fridge, opened it, and pulled out a Tupperware container. "Look, you can't just jack stuff, but I made too much of this anyway," he said, popping the lid. It was rice, veggies, some kind of stir-fry with actual chicken. Still warm. He held it out to me. I blinked. "Are you serious?" He shrugged. "If you don't take it, I'm just gonna throw it out." I took it. Sat down in the folding chair. Ate like I hadn't in days, because I hadn't. Tyler didn't say anything, just leaned back against the wall and let me shovel food into my mouth like some animal. When I was halfway through, he finally spoke again. "I'm not gonna report you," he said, but I froze. He smirked a little. "There's a catch." I stared at him, rice half falling off my fork. "What kind of catch?" He looked me dead in the eye. "You're gonna come back here tomorrow night. Same time. And you're gonna help me close up." "What?" "You need food. I need help stocking shelves. You work for it, I feed you. No stealing. No cops. Deal?" I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Part of me wanted to tell him to shove his charity. But another part, the hungry, tired, humiliated part, just nodded. "Okay," I said quietly. "Deal." Tyler smiled, pushed off the wall, and opened the door. "Then get the hell out of here," he said, teasing. "And don't let me catch you near the chicken again, unless I put it in your hand." The next night, I showed up. I wasn't sure I would until the last minute. I'd stared at my cracked phone screen for half an hour, debating it. Was I really about to show up at the same store where I tried to shoplift a damn chicken like some sad cliche? But I did, same time. Same empty stomach, same worn-out hoodie zipped to my chin to hide the fact that I hadn't shaved or looked decent in days. Tyler was waiting near the loading dock out back, leaning against a stack of milk crates, scrolling on his phone. When he saw me, he gave this quick once-over and nodded like I'd just passed some kind of unspoken test. "You came," I shrugged. "You said there'd be food," he chuckled. Fair enough. Inside, the store had that strange after-hours quiet. The fluorescent lights were buzzing overhead, the floors already mopped, the aisles empty except for a few stragglers, and one cashier slowly shutting down her register. Tyler handed me a pair of work gloves and pointed toward the back room. "We've got a produce delivery. Think you can handle stacking some apples without pocketing one?" I rolled my eyes. Ha! Hilarious. But I followed him. For the next 2 hours, we worked. It was mindless stuff. Unpacking boxes, sorting cartons of eggs, wiping down shelves, but weirdly it felt good. Like I was doing something useful, even if I wasn't technically on the payroll. Tyler kept the mood light, cracking jokes about coworkers I didn't know, complaining about a guy named Brent from bakery who apparently always stole the almond croissants. Every now and then I'd catch him looking at me, not in a judgmental way, but more like he was curious. Like he wanted to ask something but wasn't sure how. When we finally wrapped up, it was close to midnight. Tyler walked over to the employee fridge, opened it, and pulled out 2 containers this time. "Homemade spaghetti," he said, handing one to me. "And yeah, I cook. Try not to be shocked." I took it, my stomach already grumbling. "What's the catch tonight?" He grinned. "No catch. You earned it." We sat on the edge of the loading dock, legs swinging in the cool air, eating quietly. After a few minutes, he asked, "So, what's your story?" I didn't answer right away. Part of me still wanted to lie, to act like I was just going through a rough patch and had everything under control. But I didn't. I told him the truth. Laid off from a restaurant 3 months ago. No savings. Rent overdue. Parents long out of the picture. No degree. No backup plan. Just me in a city that didn't give a shit. He listened. That's what surprised me the most. He didn't interrupt. Didn't try to fix anything. Just listened, nodding every now and then, his eyes steady on mine like he wasn't going to look away no matter how ugly it got. When I was done, he leaned back and said, "You ever bartended?" I blinked. "What?" "My brother owns a bar over on 6th. He's hiring. Might be night shifts, but it's work. And they feed the staff." I stared at him, spaghetti forgotten. "Why are you doing this?" Tyler looked at me, and for a second, the teasing, casual vibe dropped away. He looked serious. Almost a little sad. "Because I've been there," he said. "Not long ago. And someone helped me when they didn't have to." Silence stretched between us, heavy but not uncomfortable. Then he added, "Also, you look really hot when you're angry stacking produce, so there's that." I choked on my spaghetti. "Shut up." He just grinned, smug. "I'm just saying." The air felt different after that, lighter, charged with something unspoken. I didn't say anything. But when our knees brushed, I didn't move away. I didn't want to. I started showing up every night after that. It wasn't like we had a formal deal. No clock-ins, no paychecks, but Tyler always had something for me to do. Stocking, cleaning, unpacking shipments, and he always handed me food at the end. Real food. Warm food. Food that made me feel like a person again. We'd sit on the loading dock, talk, eat. Some nights we said a lot. Other nights, nothing at all. But the silence was never awkward. Just easy. I started learning things about him. Tyler had moved to the city a few years ago after dropping out of college. His mom had gotten sick, he'd gone back home to help out, and after she passed, he never really found his way back. Now he worked grocery store nights and odd construction gigs. Said he didn't mind it. Beats pretending I care about spreadsheets. he told me once, finishing off a slice of banana bread. Besides, I like knowing what aisle they keep the good cookies in. And then, casually, like it was nothing, he added, also, I like talking to you. I don't know what it was about the way he said it. Soft. Like, it didn't need to be a big deal. But it felt like a big deal. Because I liked talking to him too. A lot. One night, about 2 weeks in, we finished early. The store had gotten a new shipment of frozen stuff, and we busted through it in record time. Tyler was in a good mood, humming to himself as he wiped his hands on his apron. "Come on," he said, tossing me a clean rag. "We're celebrating." I followed him out of the store, across the lot, and down the block to this tiny taqueria I'd passed a dozen times, but never stepped into. It was late, the street quiet, except for a distant hum of traffic, and the occasional gust of cold wind that made me zip my hoodie up to my chin. Tyler ordered us tacos, 2 each, and paid without even looking at me. I opened my mouth to argue, but he shook his head. "Let me do this," he said. "You've had a rough year. Let me do one thing that isn't tied to a mop or a shelf of leaking almond milk." We ate in the back booth, next to the bathroom, surrounded by old band posters and flickering string lights. It wasn't romantic. But it kind of was. Somewhere between the second taco and a shared bottle of Doritos, he asked, "So do you always stare at guys who feed you?" I snorted. "I do when they look like you." That made him pause. Not flinch, not blush, just pause. His eyes locked on mine for a second too long, and something shifted in the space between us. He leaned back, tapped his fingers on the edge of the table. "So, that's where we're at now?" I shrugged. "I don't know where we're at." Silence. Then Tyler tilted his head. "You want to come over?" It wasn't a pickup line. He didn't say it like someone trying to get laid. It was just an invitation. Open. Uncomplicated. Still, my pulse jumped. "I don't have to," he added quickly. "Just thought, if you want. No pressure." I stared at him, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't overthink it. "Yeah," I said. "Okay." His apartment was small, clean but lived in. Mismatched mugs in the sink, a couch with a slightly broken armrest. Some indie movie posters pinned crooked on the wall. We didn't do anything at first. He made us tea. We sat on the couch. The room felt warmer than it should have, or maybe it was just him, sitting so close I could feel the heat of his body even though he wasn't touching me. I kept glancing at his hands. He kept glancing at my mouth. Eventually, the space between us disappeared. I don't remember who moved first. Maybe both of us. But suddenly we were kissing. Soft, unsure at first, like neither of us wanted to risk being wrong. But we weren't wrong. It wasn't some lusty, throw you against the wall kind of thing. It was slow. Careful, like we were both trying to memorize it. Like we knew this moment was something we'd keep tucked away. For a long time, even if nothing else ever came of it. When we finally pulled apart, Tyler looked at me, lips slightly parted, eyes searching. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded. Barely. "Yeah. What?" I let out a shaky laugh. "I can't believe this all started because I tried to steal a chicken." Tyler grinned. That slow, crooked grin I was starting to love. Best $7.99 the store ever lost. I didn't sleep with him that night. Not because I didn't want to. God, I did. But when Tyler pulled back, resting his forehead against mine, he whispered, "We don't have to rush anything." And somehow that made me want him more. We ended up lying on his couch, legs tangled, the TV playing some nature documentary neither of us really watched. At some point, I fell asleep with his hand resting on my stomach, his thumb brushing slow circles over my shirt like it was the most natural thing in the world. When I woke up, it was morning and he was still there, on the same couch, same position, his face relaxed and soft in the early light. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was about to lose something. I didn't feel like I had to be ready to run. I just let myself be there. Things didn't get easier overnight. Life doesn't work like that. I still didn't have a job, still didn't have a stable place to crash, I was technically couch surfing at a friend's ex's place, who was definitely getting tired of me showing up with my whole life in a backpack. But the weird thing was, being around Tyler made all of it suck a little less. He kept inviting me to help at the store, even if I wasn't on payroll. Said it was off-books volunteering, but every night he packed me dinner and slipped a 20 into my jacket pocket like I wouldn't notice. And I did notice. Every little thing. Like how he'd always have a fresh bottle of water waiting when I walked in. How he'd shift closer when we sat down, just enough so our knees touched. How he never made a big deal out of anything, like he understood that I wasn't used to being looked after. One night, a week after our kiss, I asked him straight up, "Why are you doing all this?" He looked at me, confused. Doing what? This. Feeding me, letting me help, letting me be here. Tyler leaned back against the wall of the break room, his hands tucked into his apron pockets. "Because I want to," he said simply. "Because I like having you around. And because, maybe this is selfish, but you being here makes my nights better." It hit me harder than it should have. I think when you go long enough without feeling seen, even a little bit of kindness feels like someone turned a floodlight on you. I nodded, my throat tight. I like being here too. Then came the turning point. Tyler's brother, the one with the bar job he'd mentioned, actually called. Said they needed someone part-time, nights, mostly weekends. Didn't care about experience, just needed someone who could keep up and not steal from the till. I went in for a trial shift the next night. Tyler walked with me the whole way, hands in his hoodie pocket, his shoulder brushing mine as we crossed the intersection under the glow of a flickering walk sign. "You're gonna kill it," he said before I walked in. I didn't know how to thank him. Words didn't feel big enough, so I leaned in and kissed him. Right there, in the alley next to a bar where the dumpsters smelled like beer and bleach and spilled fries, and he kissed me back. Quick, warm, like a promise. The shift went better than expected. No disasters. I learned how to pour a beer without making it 80% foam, and the bartender on duty showed me how to handle the register with a nod and a tired smile. Nobody gave me shit. Nobody asked questions. When it was over, Tyler was waiting across the street, leaning against a lamppost, scrolling through his phone like he wasn't freezing his ass off in the November wind. "You're insane," I said as I walked up. "You could have waited at home." He shrugged. "I didn't want you walking back alone." I looked at him, really looked at him, and realized I'd stopped expecting the worst from people, at least from him. Later that night, I was in his bed for the first time. Not the couch, not the floor. His bed. It wasn't about chillin', not yet. We undressed slowly, not with urgency, but like two people who wanted to know what skin felt like after surviving too much winter. His body was warm, solid, real. We fell asleep facing each other, our foreheads nearly touching. And for the first time in months, I didn't dream about hunger. I didn't dream about running. I just slept. The next few weeks felt unreal. I was working at the bar 3 nights a week, pulling in enough tips to cover groceries and chip away at my overdue rent. Tyler insisted I still come by the store when I had time. Just for the vibes, he'd say, pretending it wasn't also so we could steal a few minutes together, tucked between pallets of cereal and expired yogurt. We were never official, we never had that talk. But everything about it felt like more. More than just friends. It was the way he remembered how I took my coffee. Extra sweet, extra cheap. The way his hand always found mine when we watched dumb movies on his couch. The way he never asked for anything back, but still made me want to give him everything I had left. And I was starting to think maybe, just maybe, I could build something here. With him. But life doesn't let you get too comfortable for long. It was a Tuesday night when things cracked open. I'd just finished my shift at the bar. My feet were aching, and I reeked of beer and onion rings, but I was weirdly happy. I was gonna head to Tyler's place, take a shower, pass out in his bed, and wake up tangled in his sheets like we had the last 4 nights. But my phone buzzed as I was clocking out. Unknown number. The message was short. "You still owe me 2 months' rent. You've got 48 hours. I stared at the screen, that old panic flooding back like a cold wave. It was my old landlord, the one I'd been ducking. The one who never changed the locks on the place I technically still had a lease for. I'd used that address to apply for the bar job. Apparently, that paper trail had caught up to me. "Everything good?" Tyler asked when I walked through his door 10 minutes later. He was barefoot, wearing those loose pajama pants I'd secretly started loving, and a hoodie that might have been mine now. I wanted to lie. I really did. But I couldn't. "I'm in trouble," I admitted. "My old landlord found me. He wants $2,000. I don't have it." Tyler didn't flinch. He didn't scold or sigh or do anything that would have made me feel worse. He just said, "Okay, we'll figure it out." We. That word sat heavy in my chest. It felt good, dangerous. Like hope. "You don't have to." I started, but he cut me off. "I know I don't, but I want to." He walked over and cupped my face, gentle. "Whatever happens, you're not doing this alone anymore. Got it?" I nodded, even though my throat was tight. Because when you've spent so much time expecting people to walk away, someone choosing to stay feels like the scariest thing of all. The next night, he came up with a plan. "We'll call your landlord, negotiate something, maybe get it down. I'll cover part if I have to. Just let me help." It wasn't a perfect plan. It was held together with hope and duct tape. But it was something. So we did it. We called. We bargained. Tyler stood next to me the whole time, one hand on my back while I stumbled through the call. I don't know if it was his presence or my desperation, but the guy agreed to settle for $1, $200 if I paid within a week. It was still a hell of a lot, but doable if I worked every shift the bar could give me and ate nothing but instant ramen. After the call, Tyler pulled me into a hug that lasted a little too long. I didn't mind. The next few days were rough. I was exhausted, constantly on edge, my body running on caffeine and anxiety. Tyler saw it all and never once told me to chill. He just made sure there was always something waiting when I got to his place. Leftovers, a clean towel, a silent moment on the couch where he let me collapse against him like a drunk puppet. On the fourth night I came in and didn't say anything, just dropped my bag and buried my face in his chest. He held me for a long time. Then he whispered into my hair, "You're almost there." I pulled back and looked up at him. "I don't want to mess this up," I said. "You. Us. You're not," he said. "You couldn't." Then he leaned in, kissed me, soft and slow, like he meant it. Because he did. We scraped it together. Over the next 6 days, I worked like hell. Extra shifts at the bar, some under-the-table help. Tyler found me unloading a supply truck for his friend's moving company, and every crumpled dollar that hit my palm went straight into a sealed envelope under his TV stand. On the 7th day, we had $1, $200 exactly. I handed it to my old landlord in a cold parking lot at 9 a.m. He didn't say much, just counted the cash, grunted, and walked off like it hadn't been hanging over my head like a guillotine for months. When I got back to Tyler's place, he was still asleep, curled on his side, one arm dangling off the mattress, mouth slightly open. I just stood in the doorway for a second, watching him breathe. I'd been in survival mode for so long, I'd forgotten what it felt like to exhale. I dropped my jacket, crawled into bed behind him, and wrapped my arm around his waist. His hand found mine without him even waking up. Later that afternoon, when we were both finally up and conscious, we walked to that same taqueria, the one from a few weeks back, and he ordered us 2 tacos each, like nothing had changed. Except everything had. We sat in the back booth, same as before, but now our legs stayed touching under the table. His foot nudged mine every few minutes like a secret language only we knew. Between bites, I said, "I can finally leave that apartment." Tyler looked at me. "You mean the one you haven't slept in for over a month?" I grinned. "Yeah, that one." He raised an eyebrow. "So where are you moving to? Got somewhere lined up?" I hesitated. Then, carefully, I said, "I was kind of hoping I could stay. His gaze didn't move. Stay? With you, I said. Officially. Tyler set his taco down. You want to move in? I nodded. I mean, I basically already have a toothbrush here, and your neighbors already think I live here. That guy downstairs calls me store boy. He laughed, shaking his head. You'd really want to live in this dump? With you? Yeah. His smile softened. Then yeah, stay. And that was it. No dramatic speeches, no fireworks. Just two people in a booth that smelled like bleach and salsa, deciding that whatever this was, it was real. The first night, I was officially his roommate, or maybe boyfriend, though neither of us had said that word out loud. We didn't go out, we didn't drink, we didn't celebrate, we just cleaned the apartment together. It sounds stupid, but I'd never felt closer to someone than I did while folding his laundry. Elbowing him out of the way so I could sweep under the couch, arguing over where to keep the hot sauce. He played music off his phone. I stole sips from his beer. We danced badly while wiping down the fridge. At one point, I stood in the middle of the living room and looked around. It wasn't much, but it was ours. That night, we made love for the first time. Not fast, not frenzied, just slow, careful, like we had all the time in the world. Because maybe, for the first time, we did. There were no lights on, just the city glow leaking through the blinds. The sheets warm, the air still, our bodies moving like they already knew the way. He kissed me like I wasn't broken, like I hadn't spent the last year clawing my way through every bad decision just to land in this room, in this bed, with him, and I kissed him like he was the only thing I'd gotten right. Because he was. Months passed. Not all of them were easy. There were mornings Tyler left early for a second job he didn't love, and came back too tired to talk. There were nights I came home from the bar late, sore and smelling like stale beer, wondering if I was ever going to do something that didn't require aching feet and counting tips to see if I could afford bread and soap. But through it all, we stayed. We learned each other's rhythms. Tyler chewed on pens when he was stressed. I needed silence in the mornings, at least until coffee happened. He liked falling asleep to podcasts. I needed a fan for white noise. He hated folding socks. I actually enjoyed it. He kept cooking for both of us, and I kept doing the dishes even when I didn't want to. We found our middle ground in leftovers and takeout and stolen kisses in the kitchen while rice boiled and something half burned in the oven. And slowly, that panic I used to live in, that constant edge of collapse feeling, started to fade. One night in early spring, I came home and found him sitting on the fire escape, hoodie pulled over his head, knees pulled up to his chest. There was a second beer waiting beside him, sweating in the dusk. I joined him. No words, just the city breathing around us. He passed me the beer. I took a sip, then looked over at him. You ever think about that night? I asked. He didn't ask which one. Yeah, he said. All the time. I was such a mess. Tyler turned his head toward me, his expression unreadable. You were hungry. You were desperate. And yeah, maybe you stole a chicken. I laughed under my breath. But that wasn't the part that mattered, he said. What mattered was, you came back. I looked at him. You gave me a reason to. He reached over and slid his fingers between mine, the way he always did when we were quiet and close, and letting the world slow down for a minute. Then he said it, softly. I love you. I didn't flinch, didn't freeze, I just smiled. Yeah, I said, I love you too. It wasn't fireworks. It wasn't some tearful explosion of emotion. It was just real. Simple, true, the kind of love you build one night at a time, over late dinners, shared beds, and bad days made slightly better by someone who refuses to leave. Sometimes I still think about that first night, how close I came to getting arrested, How small I felt holding that hot plastic container like it was life or death. How one guy, some stranger with kind eyes and a crooked name tag, looked at me and didn't see a thief. He saw someone worth saving, and that changed everything.